Hey everyone, this week we're going to talk about databases and Firebase just to give you a high level overview of what this is going to look like. So, we're going to start by talking about the difference between SQL versus NoSQL databases, what databases are, and then jump into Firebase and have a little activity for you to do in class. Before that, at the end of this video, we're also going to show you how to set up Firebase in your React app. And please make sure to do that before class because it can get a little time consuming, just to save time. Okay, let's get started now. Okay, so SQL and NoSQL, I'm sure everyone has heard these terms, but we'll talk more about what these actually are. Databases and MySQL. So I'm sure, as everyone knows, a database is a structured data set, which means that other than the traditional data sets that we think of, like Excel sheets or maybe CSVs, even things such as a list of Reddit posts or a digital shopping list of items on eBay could be considered a database. So any data which has a structure to it could be thought of as a database. Although more traditionally we do refer to actual database management systems where data is stored as databases. So the most popular one that we often throw around is MySQL. So MySQL is a database management system. What these database management systems help you do is they help you access the database more efficiently. So it's just a basic software system that helps developers communicate with their databases. And if a database were a library, then the DBMS could be considered as a librarian. So I'm sure everyone's been to libraries and it's so difficult to find books, right? Especially like a library like Macmillan. It's very neatly cataloged and organized in these huge shelves, and there's so many things on different floors you can never find. But it would be so easy to just ask a librarian for help. So in this case, you could think of the database as a library, the data as the books, and the DBMS as a librarian. So we talked a bit about MySQL and how it's so famous, but why is it that this particular DBMS is so popular, right? So MySQL comes pre-baked with this wide array of very cool features that are ready to use and easy for us to understand. We're not going to go into these specific features for the sake of time, and it's also a little bit out of scope for our bootcamp. But here's a link that you can check out, and there's plenty of other online resources and YouTube videos that you can check out to learn more about MySQL. And it is also very efficient to store your data with. What this exactly means is there's two types of databases, right? Relational and non-relational databases. Usually when data has some kind of structure or relation within it, some sort of like internal connection, it's usually easier to store it using MySQL. Don't worry about what it exactly means for now if you don't understand, but just get an understanding of what relational means. And MySQL DBMS is also super friendly to both new and experienced developers alike. Like I said, it's pretty intuitive. It also uses SQL language. We'll talk more about it in the next slide. So SQL versus NoSQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is an artificial language that developers use to communicate with an SQL DBMS like MySQL. When we say artificial language, we don't mean it in the terms of a programming language. When you're writing queries in SQL, you're not coding or programming. You're just using this language to speak to the database management system. The difference is just that instead of speaking to a human, you're speaking to a DBMS, but it's very much a language like any other language like English or Spanish. So what the DBMS does is that it will read your incoming SQL queries that you can think of as questions that you're asking it, and run it against this database in the background in some way to give you back results. So it's the same as you going up to a librarian and using the English language to communicate the question that you have, and they tell you where your desired book is. On the other hand, NoSQL refers to the family of DBMS software systems that, unlike MySQL, does not use SQL to communicate with the developer. They use their own good stuff instead. So NoSQL languages are a bit tricky in that sense. Each NoSQL language, sorry, my bad, not NoSQL language, NoSQL DBMS. Each NoSQL DBMS has a different internal structure of how it works and what techniques it uses in the background to process these queries, right? So one of the more popular ones is MongoDB, and the other one that we're going to talk about is Firebase, and this is not very commonly known, but it is very popular. Cassandra is another type of DBMS. All of these are NoSQL, but they have different internal structures, meaning MongoDB stores data in key value pairs. Firebase has a document model, and Cassandra has a column store model. So for now, just keep in mind that Firebase has a document store model, and it is part of the NoSQL family and something that we use commonly in Hack for Impact projects. It's just easier, not that it's necessarily like the most industrially used DBMS. It's just easier since it has other services like the authentication services and cloud functions and hosting and stuff. But yeah, that's all that's going to be in terms of slide. Let's hop on to VS Code and I can show you how to install and integrate a Firebase project on React. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is create a TypeScript app. You just put in the command that we've been using all this time, npx create React app, my app, template TypeScript. I was meaning to record this part as well, but I guess I was just talking to myself. But that's okay. We know how to create a TypeScript React app. Let's just hop on to Firebase and show you how it looks, right? Okay, so after you do all the boring stuff of signing up and just navigating within Firebase, you land to this page, right, where you are able to create a new Firebase project. So all you gotta do is click on Create Project, and let's name it Bootcamp Week 9 for our sake. And then press Continue. Just keep on pressing Continue on this stuff. For this, click on Default Account for Firebase, Create Project. This takes a while, but hopefully the steps until here are clear. In the next steps, we'll see how it gives us a config file code. So what this config file is, it basically is this configuration key almost that helps you access, that gives you authentication services and helps you access the database. So our Firebase project is ready. Let's press Continue. We are here and we have a Firebase project set up, but now we have to link this Firebase project with a web app that we're creating, right? So on this page, you click on Web. It's going to take you here. You just name anything. Week 9. Let's go with that and register your app. This part can take a while as well. Okay, so first things first, you want to copy this command, npm install Firebase, and use it within your TypeScript React app. So if the name of the React app is my app, you want to do cd my app and then run this command within that app. If you run it outside, it's useless almost. So make sure to run it inside. I'm not going to do that because I already did that and I don't want to change screens, because for some reason when I change screens, the recording stops. But okay, so the next step is this configuration code that it has provided us. But we don't want to use this one. It is, although correct, we want to use a different one. So for now, what you're going to do is just copy this part and then switch to our React app. And then I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so after navigating back to VS Code, like I said, you want to run your npm install Firebase command right here within my app. And then within the React project, so I don't know why I keep doing that, within the React project, you want to navigate inside the source folder and create a file called config.ts. Within that file, you will not have this code, of course. I will be adding this code to the Notion page for easy access. This is just a template code. It's just better. It's just easier to access stuff using this. But then you're going to copy paste the earlier Firebase config constant right here. And this is all you need to do. It is pretty straightforward, but of course, let us know if you run into any questions or problems, and hopefully you have a great week. Bye.